And we are live. Welcome everyone to my pre-race Chinwag for the 2024 Japanese Grand Prix roll intro. Yes, I'm a bit late on YouTube. No, I wasn't late on Twitch. I didn't actually realise. As soon as I clicked start streaming, it actually went live on Twitch, which it didn't do that last time. So there you go. If you're here on Twitch, everyone in chat, your ruler, Tim Tam, Paper Jedi, then you got a little bit of a early intro there. And I only realised it, Halita, because of your message in the chat. I didn't realise I was live on Twitch. I had no idea. But anyway, we're here. We're live. And we're going to talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. Welcome, everyone. Hello, everyone, particularly you on YouTube. Of course, that's where most of you are watching live. Concurrent, Gladiator, North Star, Schloim? I'm going to go Schloim. Amthos, Robert, Max, Kote, Tina, Martin, Maximilian, Leon, Drift Gamer, Road Rage, Sava, Adrian, Marco, Cam, Alvaro, Vincent, Tim, Sava, Stephen, Phillips, Ray, Bob. Welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining me here on YouTube, on Twitch. Audio only after the fact. Maybe you just want to listen to me and not look at my mic. I've actually got a haircut. Just got a haircut, but the hat's staying on. I'll explain why as we go. But welcome all. Thank you all for coming. And thank you all for still being interested in Formula 1 when it's been dominated, even though Max didn't win last weekend, did he? But Japan, Suzuka is a whole different story. Realistically, the reason Max didn't win is because of the technical failure he had in Australia. Maybe, looking at the long run pace, maybe science and the Leclerc would have given him something to think about. Regardless, we'll never know. But this weekend, Suzuka. Now, we saw last year, didn't we, that Max came back with a bang. Obviously, the round before Suzuka last year was Singapore, because remember, Suzuka was towards the end of last season, it's towards the start of this. And obviously, Singapore didn't go so well for him. The only race not won by Red Bull all season. Max was nowhere. He was dumped out in qualifying by a certain Mr. Liam Lawson, who did a very good job in Suzuka. In fact, to be fair, he shone in Hungary when he first jumped into the car to replace, not Hungary, Zandvoort, to replace Daniel. He also shone, obviously, in Singapore. Out-qualified Max Verstappen. Dunked him out, put him out in Q2. And beat Yuki in Suzuka. Well, did he beat Yuki in the end? He was ahead of Yuki. He got ahead of Yuki first lap and then stayed ahead for, I think, all the race, but most of it at least anyway. So yeah, it was a pretty decent race last time. Obviously, I just went through the highlights before I went live on this stream, and there were some interesting little moments, weren't there? We had this was proper friction between the Mercedes teammates, George and Lewis, even though they were fighting for nothing because they weren't really there in Japan last year. Don't expect them to be there in Japan this year. This is a track that really punishes a lack of confidence. All those high-speed corners, the S's, you're going to lose so much time if you're not confident in the car underneath you. And it feels like, well, particularly on Lewis's side of the garage anyway. And obviously we all know George is liable to a little bit of a shunt. We all know how it goes. P11 for Liam, P12 for Yuki. There we go. Yeah, no, it was a great showing from Liam Lawson last time out. And he's certainly pressure's ramping up on old Daniel Avocado, isn't he? I actually bought an avocado earlier. I should have brought it in. That would have been a nice little prop. But anyway, yes, we're back in Japan, back at Suzuka towards the start of the year as well. Obviously, where they've changed the calendar somewhat to try and put races in certain regions together to minimise logistics, blah, 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 which is a fair point. Really interesting. I'd recommend a podcast where the Sky Sports F1 podcast. Matt was chatting to Max's old trainer, and actually he was talking about one negative of putting those races together, especially you put in Australia, China, Japan together, where most of these teams are based in. Well, most of them in the UK, is that it does make harder for personnel to pop back and see their families, and they're away for a month at a time. Now, of course, again. It's a great job to have working in an F1 team, but they're still humans with families. And yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? It is a tough balance with the sport because the more races we have, 24 is more than enough. Too many. I would argue. But regardless, we're back at Japan, back at Suzuka. There was some good little moves last year as well, weren't there? There was a really good Leclerc overtake. I remember into the first corner around the outside. Piastri did some good moves around the outside as well. Norris was much quicker than Piastri. Race pace-wise has certainly shone. Norris is certainly the more rounded of the two drivers still, but, you know, Oscar's still learning. We won't talk about Checo's dive bomb. That wasn't so good. Logan also did the same dive bomb on Bottas, took him out. Albon got massive air and huge damage at the start, but didn't retire, which is crazy. There was quite a lot that went on last time in Suzuka. And yeah, obviously it's if you're in the UK, it's a 6 a.m. start. I won't be in the UK for the race, but I'm not going to be in Japan either. So I'll have to double check what time it's starting for me, where I'm going to be in the world. So, how do things stand after 3 of 24 race weekends? No sprints yet. China's the first one, isn't it? Next race after this one. So Verstappen 4 points clear of Charles Leclerc. Checo P3 46 points, 1 behind Leclerc. Sainz 40, 6 behind Perez. A bit of a jump down. Piastri Norris 1 point between them, 28 and 27. Russell 18, Alonso 16, Stroll 9, Hamilton 8, Tsunoda 6, Behrman 6, Hulkenberg 3, Magnussen 1. Look, in terms of a championship fight, let's not get carried away. Okay, Max in that Red Bull is still the dominant participant in this series. Okay, doesn't matter what the track is, that Red Bull's strong everywhere. It's got a good high speed, mid speed, low speed, good traction. You know, great DRS. It is the ultimate all rounder. But I do think the gap has closed for sure. Ferrari to Red Bull in particular. And the thing is, if Ferrari at this stage, where they're clearly not as quick as Red Bull, but they are bringing an upgrade this weekend, but then so are Red Bull, so we'll see how that goes. There's rumours that it could be 0 pod for Red Bull, could just be new floor. We'll see, not sure. But Ferrari, well, at least I know Fred Vasseur said he's tried to push through these upgrades for Suzuka that were planned for China originally. So hopefully Ferrari can bring the heat. But regardless, even if they do have a gap to Max and the Red Bull, if they can be consistently second quickest at this point of the season, and then the upgrade comes, then it could be a bit more interesting. Because part of the problem last year was that there was no consistent second quickest car, was there? At the start of the year, it was probably Aston Martin. In the middle of the year, after kind of Austria, Silverstone, it's probably McLaren. End of the year, it's probably Ferrari. And then Mercedes was occasionally second quickest, kind of dotted around the season. So I think if Ferrari can be a consistent second quickest entity, then we're on for something a bit more interesting. But of course, McLaren ran very well here last season at Suzuka, didn't they? But McLaren upgrades not come in till Imola, I believe. Although, yeah, if you saw my video yesterday talking about what driver transfer I think will be next, I said Sainz, Mercedes, spoiler alert. I think that's going to be the next one to be announced. I did mention David Sanchez at McLaren, who has left McLaren after 3 months. So I'm not really too sure what to think of that, you know? Is it a concerning piece of news that maybe he looked at what's going on and didn't believe in it? Or is it just a matter of pragmatism and, you know, Andrea Stella looked at the situation and was like, actually, you know what, maybe he's not the right fit for what we need? Because I think Sanchez's statement was around something kind of along the lines of, basically, it's not the job that I was sold. So maybe internal politics. Hard to say. You can only speculate on that one, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's how the driver standings sit. At current, this is how the team standings sit. Again, Ferrari only 4 points off of Red Bull. It's a shame that it is a real shame that Checo got that damage in Australia, because it makes it really hard to judge, you know, where he would have been otherwise. It'd have been really interesting to see, because I think that's one of the most intriguing things, right? Because obviously, yes, Bahrain, he finished second, but he's 22 seconds behind Max. Saudi was much better, 8 to 10 seconds behind, about where, you know, they would want Checo to be, because then that's a comfortable P2, as well as being behind Max. Suzuka is going to be a big challenge for Checo, because, again, this style of track doesn't have those kind of traction-dependent zones that street circuits typically have. This is a very long, winding, twisting, high-speed challenge, and that's where Max seems to really gap Checo. So I'm very interested to see where that gap is. I hope Checo's found something that he can bring that gap around a track like Suzuka down. Because what was actually, just for reference, right? So 2023 Japanese Grand Prix. I'm trying to remember the gaps in qualifying. How convincingly Max. Yeah, so Max, Jesus Christ, that's insane. So Max did a 28.877 in Q3, and then Piastri in second did a 29.458. So that's almost 6/10 to P2, and Checo a 29.650. So Max found a huge step in Q3. He went over a second quicker, Max, in Q3 than his Q2 time, whereas Checo last year only went not even 3 and a bit tenths quicker from Q2 to Q3. But yeah, Checo was that's over 8 tenths behind. No, just under 8 tenths behind Max Verstappen. We'll see. We will see, won't we? We will see. But hopefully something happens. UK internet. Is we all good? I think we're all good. I don't think we're dropping frames just yet. If my nana ball should be my granddad. I mean, touche, Carl. Touche. Yeah, raining coming. Yeah, I'm not too sure on the weather front, actually. It's weather in Suzuka. Potentially Sunday rain. Potentially. There's a chance. Looks like it's going to be, I don't know, rain today, bit of rain Thursday, nothing Friday, Saturday, but overcast Saturday, and maybe a bit of rain Sunday. That's what the Google says anyway. That's what the Goog says. So we'll see about that. But yeah, anyway. 2024 Japanese Grand Prix predictions time. Who's coming out on top? Who's going to win the race? Is Max Verstappen. Of course, my prediction is Max Verstappen. This is one of the tracks that feels like it suits the all-rounder RB20 especially well. Particularly well. The strengths of that car, it doesn't really have any weaknesses, but the particular strengths it has seems to particularly suit that car, and Max is driving on rails at the minute, and especially where last weekend, obviously the car broke down, nil pois, he will be very, 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 very determined to, quiet down all of these. Oh, if we got a title battle going on, he's only 4 points ahead of Leclerc. Come on. Now look, I could have predicted Yuki to win the race, but you know what? Next best thing, banger drive. I'm going Yuki Tsunoda. It was a frustrating race for him last year because Liam done him. Liam done him on the first lap. He did. Liam drove with supreme confidence and ran the outside of the right-hander before you go under the bridge. Did a job on him. And Yuki was, you can argue, right? Yuki was within like a second the whole race. So typically that means the car behind is a little bit quicker, but not quicker enough to actually get the move done. But Liam got him at the start, and so Yuki paid the price. So hopefully Yuki turns it around this time and becomes the fourth Japanese citizen to take a podium in Formula 1. Kamui Kobayashi did it in 2012. Shout out. Yuki wasn't too happy last time out, was he? But you know what? He's had a good start to the year. I want to see this momentum carry Yuki I want to see a nice top 10 finish. That's what I want to see from you, Yuki. That's the plan. So then, Clanger Drive. There's many a name, but for the second week in a row, I'm going Lewis. Things weren't looking great last week before the car broke down. He's not happy with the car. We know he's going to Ferrari next year. He knows he's going to Ferrari next year. Ferrari are doing bits. Mercedes are really struggling. They're having their barren period. This could be a McLaren Ferrari-esque barren period now for Mercedes for a long time, potentially. There's no guarantees in this sport. Lewis just doesn't feel at one with that car. And I think around a track like Suzuka, that lack of confidence, I think that will really punish him. And maybe he has checked out. Maybe. I mean, you wouldn't blame him. I don't think that's in his nature. But at the same time, what's he got to fight for at Mercedes? You know, that team's not his team going forward. And Ferrari's the future for him. And especially seeing Ferrari look so good as well. I bet he can't wait. So yeah, I'm going to go Clanger Lewis. And then in terms of the teams, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to go Ferrari banger team. I could see another Ferrari 2-3 this weekend for sure. Again, if Fred and Ferrari can get that upgrade, you know, working, get it dialed in. It's not a sprint weekend as well, so they'll have FP1, 2, 3 to get on top of the car. I'm expecting good things from Ferrari. I think a 2-3. I think a Max Leclerc Sainz or Sainz Leclerc in whatever order is looking good. I think they'll have a very good weekend. I think this would be I could see Ferrari jumping Red Bull in the constructors after this weekend for sure. Because when you look at the gap, where is it? Here we go. The gap is just 4 points between Red Bull and Ferrari right now. So that's definitely doable. That's definitely doable if Checo is a bit of a stinker like he did last year. But we'll see. And then finally, Clanger team. I mean, it's Williams. They've got 2 cars again. So once again, they don't have a spare chassis. So if one of them crashes, it's curtains for the other. Well, it's curtains for Sargent. Whatever happens. Which is a bit of it's a stinky situation to put your drivers in. Yes, of course, you know, short-term pain for long-term gain. And this is the pain, you know, this is the pain. You have to accept the pain. Doesn't mean you can justify it. You can justify it. But at the end of the day, they put themselves in this situation. So, yeah, hopefully none of them shunt. Because I think they should have the spare chassis for China. But it doesn't look like they're going to have a spare one for Japan. I'm pretty sure, listening to James Vowles post-race, he was like, yeah, we'll just have 2 cars in Japan. Ouch. I mean, poor Alex, poor Logan. Like, I'm not being funny. Like, and actually in hindsight, I think I was quite, maybe my bias did get in the way. Because actually, like, Alex was, yes, you shouldn't go into a weekend with only 2 chassis and not a spare. But ultimately, it wouldn't have been a shock that, oh, wait, we don't have a 3rd chassis. Oh, someone forgot to pack it. It's being held at customs. Whoops. Oh, they sent it on a flight to Miami instead. Whoops. Oh, no. Like, I think the drivers, the team were aware that, okay, we only have 2 chassis. So, Alex is the one who crashed. So, not good enough, Alex. Better this time. And he had I'm not sure about Alex this weekend. I'm not overly convinced he's going to have a great one, you know. They sacrificed Sargent only for Alex to get P11. Well, it just takes one more retirement, AM, at the front. One more retirement and you're cooking. Okay, so those are my predictions. Max win. Banger drive Yuki. Clanger drive Lewis. Banger team Ferrari. Clanger team Williams. I've spread my bets this weekend. I've spread my bets. But then your predictions. 1,950 of you voted. Again, make sure you like the stream, by the way, if you're here on YouTube, like it. Subscribe to the channel. And if you subscribe, then you can see community posts where I post the poll. Also, it's pinned in the live chat, although it's not. You can't do it now because I've done the graphics. And follow me on Twitter at TOMMO'S if you want to get involved on the old polls. 1,950 of you did, so thank you very much for that. Your race winner with 76% of the vote is Logan. No, it's not. It's Max Verstappen. What the is a kilometer? 76% of the vote went to Max to win. 12% Charles Leclerc. 5% Lando Norris. 3% Carlos Vamos Sainz. Only 3% for Sainz. We'll see. I mean, last year in Japan, I seem to remember that Leclerc had a bit of an advantage over Carlos. What he dunked about 3/10 on over 3/10 on Carlos in qualifying, and then in the race, yeah, Charles, Carlos, there's about 6 seconds between them. It was not too bad in the race, but yeah, it was certainly advantage Leclerc last time we raced in Japan. So we'll see if it goes that way this time. Thank you, Chrissy, for the super chat, by the way. Controversial, but I think Logan Sargent will go on a tear after his chassis incident. Hopefully not a literal tear, as in he tears the new chassis. Or his chassis. And will score his first points. Look, Chrissy, I said this, right? I do believe that Sargent can come good. I think Sargent can develop. I think he's been, when you look at the race pace gaps to Albon, when you look at the quali gaps to Albon, through all sessions, it's not as bad. It's just when push comes to shove and in the crunch time moments, Logan does tend to bottle it. That's an issue. But I think it's a tricky one. Because there's certainly, I mean, you look at Liam Lawson and straight away comes in and performs immediately. Bosh. But it's so weird, isn't it? Because like Lawson is clearly, even after Logan's had a full season F1, I still believe like Lawson, having just done 5 races, is from day one was way more ready for F1 than Sargent was. Even though Sargent actually outscored Lawson in F2. That's why the numbers, people say, numbers don't lie. Numbers lie all the time. Numbers are not your friend. Numbers will trick you. Numbers will manipulate you. Okay. But yeah, thank you, Chrissy, for the super chat. Thank you, NC Paddock, as well, for another super chat. Max and Red Bull Revenge Tour pending, and they're supposed to be bringing the big upgrade. Hope everyone has a great day. An awesome video, Tomo. Thank you very much, Paddock. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. A vengeance. Absolutely. How's everyone doing on Twitch, by the way? Charles, Rayner, Eldin, Fitai? First time chat, Fitai, and Call Me Magical as well. That we're multi-streaming. Well, my bitrate on Twitch is shocking right now, but on OBS and YouTube it's fine. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Thank you, Gladiator, as well. You criticise Logan for bottling, but not Norris. Whoa. What? They're not even remotely comparable, the context of their bottles. Like, granted, Lando has had his moments, but Logan had so many shunts last year. There's no... How is that even like... They're like two completely separate... Yeah, yes, Lando has bottled in his moments, for sure. I'm talking about like bottles that you don't even see because it's like going out in Q1, where like Logan has shown pace equivalent to Max, absolutely not Max, to Alex in like FP123, and then when it comes to crunch time in qualifying, Alex finds that extra few tenths, or Logan just bottles a few tenths, you know. I don't know. But yeah, I think that we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. Yeah. Thank you, Snack Bandit. Just watched a recent Ocon video. And I saw a few people comment about that on the Ocon video. That I didn't go into more detail about how Max was in a VAR. Is it a VAR? It was a VAR, wasn't he? And obviously Ocon was in a Prima. And in hindsight, yeah, I probably could have gone into more detail. But also, like, the point I was making, I think the reason why I didn't go into more detail is because the point I was making is that Ocon still, at the end of the day, he still won it, regardless of the context of other drivers. I'm sure Max wasn't the only driver to be in a weak team who, like, outperformed that team, right? the point was that Ocon wins it and doesn't get, and so I can understand from a human point of view, if you're in a situation and you win something and there's someone who finished behind you, no matter whether they've actually earned it more than you, because of course Max was a better driver than Ocon back then, given the context of how many DNFs he had. But regardless, if someone who finishes behind you, whether or not they've earned it more or they've come from a worse team or whatever, you're still going to feel hard done by. You're still going to feel like, oh, it's not fair. Because also, VAR in F3, when Max was in F3, with Max Verstappen in and Jos Verstappen, don't tell me that wouldn't have made a positive difference to that team off track as well as on it. So it kind of, it's, you know, it's more about, it's more about Ocon feels, I can understand why he would feel that's not fair. Even though like he had no right to an F1 seat for winning Euro Formula 3. It's just that Max was clearly, he was showcasing some god tier performances. But you can still understand on a human level. You put yourself in Ocon's shoes, of course you'd feel like bitter. Of course you'd feel like it's unfair. But yeah. Right, next. I digress. Banger drive, 23%, Max Verstappen. It's not often you give him race winner and banger drive, but that's how convinced you are that he's going to smoke it, and I'm very much inclined to agree. 23% of the vote goes to Max, 19% to Lando Norris, 14% Yuki Quinn, up the Yuki, 13% Oscar Piastri. So I think sprints are still... Lando still is just gapping Oscar in those key kind of long stints. He's still just... He's got that advantage in his veins, you know. But hopefully Oscar will get there. I'm sure he will. But yeah, 23% banger drive, Max Verstappen. Clanger drive, Daniel Ricciardo, 31% of the vote. Oh, I really hope this isn't the case. Oh, God. It's not that stage yet, but it's... If Yuki keeps beating him, this is going to start being really uncomfortable to watch. Because, yeah, this is not how Daniel was hoping it would go. This is not how Red Bull, I'm sure, were hoping it would go. Yes, of course, Daniel Ricciardo, I'm sure, helped get Boss and Visa and Cash App and all these lot involved in that team. And I don't think he'll be dropped mid-season. I'd be surprised if he was dropped mid-season. I think he'll get to the end of the year pretty much regardless. But I think that is mainly because of his, you know, his value to that establishment. But I hope things get better for Daniel. Again, if you watch my video, he's gapped to Yuki. Yuki's got a couple of tenths on him in quali, nearer to a tenth in race pace. So it is advantage Yuki across the board. Not by that much, but there's no way Ricciardo should be behind Tsunoda. It's just that shouldn't be happening given his pedigree. But Yuki's improved and Daniel's maybe gotten worse, which is sad to say. And you know what I think this does actually, when you look at how many drivers clearly regress towards the end of their career. Yeah, I think you can say, you know, with no disrespect to people like Kimi, to Vettel as well, you know, the struggles he had towards the end of his time. But the way Fernando is maintaining these levels into his 40s, mad. And you say that, DH, because of his wrist break, it made him slower. Well, when Lance broke his wrist, he went quicker. Bahrain last year, he was flying, wasn't he? It goes one of two ways, I suppose, doesn't it? There you go. So, Clanger Drive, 31% of the vote. Ricciardo, 11% Perez, 11% Russell, 11% Hamilton. So, Checo, George and Lewis, you are not expecting much from either. And Perez DNF, I don't know. I don't know. I think Checo. I think Checo probably fourth. I reckon this weekend. That's probably my prediction. Thank you again, Paddock, for the super chat. Take this in, everyone. If Max wins this year and next year, he'll have won 5 in a row. Not done since Michael in 2002. Vettel and even Hamilton couldn't do that. Max wins this year and next year, he'll be at 1-5 in a row. At Suzuka, I imagine you're talking about, right? Damn. Yeah, I mean, look, Max, the way things are going for Max, and again, 2026 is going to be really interesting because whether he stays at Red Bull, whether he moves elsewhere, if he's not, it will be really interesting to see Max in a car that isn't the quickest, back in a car that isn't the quickest, like he was when Mercedes were dominating. I think I'm going to sneeze. Oh my God. It's there. It's here. It's just waiting, but it's not going to come out. Oh, God. There we go. It'll be really interesting to see Max back in a car that clearly isn't the quickest. Not clearly, but isn't the quickest, like he was, again, in the Red Bull Mercedes days when Lewis was in the Mercedes. It was clearly quicker, but he could split the Mercedes a lot of the time. To see how this Max now, because I think Max is so complete. You know, his weaknesses of the past, I think he's really worked on them. And I think having this kind of, this period where he's been really comfortable at the front, he's like this is what they're talking about with the his performance trainer on the SkyPod. So every single race is like a final, like the way they build it up in their minds. But also in 2021, you know, he had to accept to be happy with second. So I'd love to see how a Max, this Max we have now, would approach that challenge of not being in the quickest car. You know, if you could swap, you know, Leclerc and Verstappen, right? Put Verstappen in this Ferrari. Oh, that would be really cool. That would be really cool to see. Because I think he'd still find a way to win. Maybe not win the championship, but he'd still find a way to win that I don't think anyone else could. Still vaporizes the field. Well, he probably wouldn't vaporize it in the Sauber because they'd vaporize his wheel nut. But anyway, Banger Team, your vote, 36% of the vote, McLaren. 29% Red Bull, 24% Ferrari, 3% Racing Bulls. Yeah, McLaren. Red Bull upgrade, Ferrari potential upgrade. I'm still not sure if that's confirmed, but I know Fred said he wanted to get the Ferrari upgrade in for Japan. McLaren, we know theirs isn't coming to Imola. And I just feel like, as that car is, yes, this track does play to the strengths they have, but I just think that Ferrari and Red Bull will have a bit too much. I think Aston Martin's upgrade is, I'm sure I said that in the video, their upgrades planned around Imola, Miami kind of time as well. And Maxim from Moldova, love that. Love that. Love a niche country that doesn't get the representation it deserves in the world. Big up Moldova, love it. If it's chucking down, it'll be delayed red flag. Oh, mate, I remember, right? In the last lap days. Was anyone here on the stream for last lap when we did Suzuka in, was that in 22 or last year? I can't even remember, when it was rain delayed. Oh, no, yeah, it was 22, wasn't it? The 2022 last lap Suzuka live stream. We were live for about 4.5 hours. And then did a podcast afterwards as well. I was shattered. Because I had to be, I was up at like 2:30, left at 3, got to the studio at 4. Actually, no, got to the studio at 5, left at 4, got to the studio at 5, went live at 5:30. Whew, that was a tough one. That was, jeez. Yes, the one where Carlos DNF'd. Exactly, Alif, that one, exactly. Anyway, moving on. That Banger Team, McLaren, Bosch, lovely, job done, happy days. And finally, Clanger Team. You lot have gone Mercedes, 34% of the vote. 30% of the vote to Sauber. They stink. 14% to Alpine. 6% to Chassis Williams. That's 1-2 for sure. Oh, imagine. 3 in a row at an ideal time for Australia. I know, right? You Australians are eating good right now in terms of the F1 timing, scheduling. Don't worry, you're going to be in a lot of pain for the rest of the year. So enjoy it while it lasts. Right. No F2 in Japan. No F2 in Suzuka. They got a week off. So, Fantasy League. I'm not changing my team. Although I might change who I'm doubling up. I mean, I've got to keep Alex in for the bias. I think Haas will run well. I think they'll do pretty good. Ferrari again with the upgrade, going to be in a good place. Leclerc, Hulkenberg, and Piastri and Norris. I'm happy enough with this team that I don't think I'm gonna make any changes. Maybe I'd try and find a way to get Sainz in, but actually, you know what? I've spent like all my money, so I'm quite happy. Why is Norris more expensive than Charles? Yeah. Also, Hulkenberg is cheaper than Magnussen, which I find strange. Not quite sure where it comes from. And yeah, unfortunately, Scuderia Lomo Rosso. That maybe I should try that as an alternative. Scuderia Tommo Rosso got rejected, which sucks. It's in copyright grounds, right? Not happy with that. But yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think maybe I'll 2x Leclerc, probably 2x Leclerc, but yeah, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Albon, Piastri, Norris. It's my 5 drivers, and then Ferrari, Haas. That's my teams. Scandinavia is yeah, you're right, DH, you're right. Scandinavia is an expensive place. Have you seen the McLaren? Well, if you haven't, here it is. McLaren are running a special livery. Sorry to any audio-only listeners, of course. Running a special livery for this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix, which is to do with Views, their e-cigarette company. So, but pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Don't know about you lot. I mean, that's pretty decent. In fact, let's do a little poll. What do... Oh my god, I can't type. Do you think of the McLaren? I don't know why I worry about caps and all that. I'm just a bloody YouTube file. Is it a banger? Is it a clanger? Is it a small bang? Or is it a mild clang? Let me know in the poll on YouTube. Sorry, Twitch. Sorry, everyone watching after the fact. You can't get involved. But, well, I try and do these streams at different times to kind of mix it up, you know. So everyone can get involved, whatever time zone you're in, you know. Try and be as inclusive to different time zones as I can possibly be. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Again, this livery, it's very much kind of it's a good template livery. You've got simple shapes, knocking about that you can, be quite creative with, which is nice. Which is nice to see. I don't dislike that. I appreciate that, you know. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good, in my opinion. Would I go banger? Probably go, if I was voting, I'd go small bang. 56% of you have gone small bang. 19% banger. 21% mild clang. 4% clanger. So generally speaking, you're pretty positive around it. I'd probably agree. It is quite nice. It is quite nice. How it look on track. Sometimes these kind of liveries look a bit dull on track. I don't know if I don't think the blue is going to pop from a distance. I mean, I can see on my YouTube studio, I've got the little screen of where I am, and it's much smaller. So from a distance, I don't think the blue is going to really show that much. I don't think it's... hopefully it does. Hopefully it picks up nicely on the cameras. But we will see. We will see. Oh, yeah. Where's the dog? You know what? I will grab Minton as we wind down this stream. In fact, let me go to the main screen and it will play the little intro. And if I'm really quick, I might have him by the time I get back. So... Run. Boy is here. Say hello to everyone, Minton. everyone live on YouTube, everyone after the fact on YouTube, everyone live on Twitch, and audio only. Just pretend you can see. The Minton tax has been paid. There you go. He's been kipping, haven't you? Hey, you've been sleeping. What's that on your nose? Hey, what's that on your nose? Sleepy boy, ain't you? You're a very sleepy boy. Well, the reason I'm showing you Minton is because the content's going to be Mintonless for the next few weeks, because me and Hannah are going on holiday. In fact, tomorrow, this time tomorrow, we will be in South Africa, which 1.4% of my viewership is South African. So there you go. There you go. Minton's staying here at home. Not on his own, of course. Staying with my mum. You can't look after yourself yet, mate, can you? Can't even... Well, you can actually open doors sometimes if they're not properly closed. But yes. So this time tomorrow, we'll be in Cape Town. That's the plan anyway. Yeah, it should be this time tomorrow. We'll be there. So yes, the streams will still be coming. That's the plan. I'm still taking kind of a miniaturized version of my setup with me. So obviously I'll work around Wi-Fi and stuff. But just like when we did our, post-wedding trip, Canada, US, if you were around back then, in 2022. When I was doing live streams from bathrooms in California, then and it's only like 2 hours different as well. So it's a long flight. But yeah, going to South Africa. So you're going to be staying here. So it means you're not going to be on any content for the next few weeks. But again, post race will be live. I'll try and make it live. If I really can't do the Wi-Fi, then I'll just pre-record the Chinwag and just, I'll still do the polls and that, but I just won't be able to do it live necessarily. So we'll see. I'll plan on that. Oh yeah, I forgot isn't it the Winter Love Island is in South Africa, isn't it? I'm sure it is. We have Wi-Fi in South Africa. Yeah, I know you got Wi-Fi, Joy. I just mean like if it's not good enough, if it's not really good. Like I've got wired in internet, really quick internet here, and I still have the frames dropping all the time. So I'd rather pre-record than have a stream that's like, well, I'm not jumping all over the place, you know what I mean? But yeah, are you the hot new tonight on Love Island, Minton? What do you do at the fire pit? Minton eats marshmallows at the fire pit. But yeah, so not visiting Kailami. Unfortunately, that's not part of our itinerary. But yeah, might see some animals towards the end of the trip as well. That's the plan anyway. Bit of safari, so should be fun. But yes, streams won't be stopping around obviously this Grand Prix and the Chinese Grand Prix. Videos, of course, are gonna be much quieter. But if there's any breaking news, I'll still do my little quick videos when I can. But yeah, just bear with me the next few weeks. A bit of time off, a bit of time to decompress, chill, and have fun and enjoy good food. So yeah, thank you all for coming. Appreciate you all taking the time, whether you're here on YouTube, on Twitch, or 26 of you on Twitch, Nicola, Woodchip, Magical. Amalia, most of Cape Town has good Wi-Fi. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good to hear. And yeah, enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix. Again, I'll try and do the stream at some point on the Monday. But, the time zone's not that different. But also, I'm on holiday. So these streams will work around my holiday. Okay? Right. Thank you, everyone. Be good, be well, be happy, be safe, be kind, be nice. Goodbye.